Welcome to the Land to Lots podcast, powered by Launch Development Finance Advisors. And now your host, Carter Froelich.
Hello, everybody. It's Carter Froelich, and welcome to the Land to Lots podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming to the show Mr. David O'Reilly, the president and CEO of Howard Hughes Holdings. And for our listeners who may not be familiar with Howard Hughes, in my opinion, Howard Hughes controls some of the most iconic and beautiful master plan communities in the United States, including the Woodlands and Bridgeland in the Houston MSA area, Summerlin in Vegas. They're currently working on Teravalis. They also control over 10 million square feet of office and retail, along with over 5,800 units of multifamily. So, David, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining.
I'm thrilled to be here, Carter. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And before we get started, maybe you could tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and the path that led you to Howard Hughes. And I think as we sit here today, you're in Summerlin. So.
I am. And, I'm 3 cities a week these days. It's one of those. It's such a great business, and I think I have the best job in all of real estate. Because when I get off a plane and I come to Summerlin, I get to see how we impacted lives and what we've built that have changed the way people live, and we're not curing cancer and we're not solving the world's issues, but we are doing our small part in having a positive impact, and it's really rewarding. Now, what led me here is a series of crazy events that I never, it's a little bit like the feather in the wind, Forrest Gump, right? I was going to play professional hockey, and then when that didn't work out, I decided to get a real job, right? And I was a civil engineer because only because that was where the hockey coach could get me in.
Well, I want to know, how come you still have all your teeth if you were playing hockey?
Well, I wasn't good enough to play long enough to lose them, right? I was going to the Naval Academy, and I was accepted, and I was squaring my corners at the house, and I was screaming at my mother, beat Army. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to the Naval Academy, they sent me a letter and said, hey, we saw this note in your doctor's report when you were 7 years old, you had asthma. Can't come. Sorry, stay home. So it was June, and I had no college, right? I was toast. I called all the hockey coaches that tried to recruit me, and there was one guy at Tufts who said, I can get you in, but you have to be an engineer.
Okay.
I said, great, I like trains, let's do it. And so I went to Tufts, became a civil engineer, woke up after graduating and said, I don't really want to design bridges and wastewater treatment plants the rest of my life. This is awful. So kind of pivoted and went into construction management. And there was a gentleman that was taught real estate at Harvard Business School that was looking for a property manager and construction manager, and hired this, totally green kid out of college who had no idea what he was doing. And he became a great mentor to me. His name was Bill Porvu. He was one of the 3 founders of the Baupost Group.
Oh, wow. That's quite a mentor to have.
Yeah. Well, and I was helping him with real estate development, and at the same time, I'm sitting through his class at Harvard Business School, which is the only real estate class at Harvard Business School. And he was writing a book at the time, and I was kind of like the test subject, like called The Real Estate Game, and it's kind of like a real estate for dummies if you want to get into real estate development and investing. And I was kind of the dummy, the test case to see, does this resonate with you? So it was just a fascinating 3 years that I got to work for Bill. Before going back and getting my MBA, at Bill's suggestion. He said, you've done every real estate class at Harvard twice now. Maybe you should think about, pursuing real estate and learning the finance side of the business, and getting your MBA and working a couple of years on Wall Street would be a great way before you come back and do real estate development with me. I said, awesome.
Yeah. So you got your MBA at Columbia.
Went to work at Lehman Brothers and fell in love with just the finance side of real estate. And 2 years to get a little bit of training turned into 8. And I started at Lehman the day before 9/11. After training at Windows of the World, I trained at the top of the World Trade Center for 30 days. And my first day at World Financial Center across the street was September 10th, and then September 11th. And 8 years later, I was in the basement of the Federal Reserve presenting to the Wall Street banks because I was asked to become CFO of SpinCo,
Yeah.
which was the spinoff of commercial real estate from Lehman Brothers that was going to save the firm.
Yeah.
And we didn't get approval from the FSA on Barclays' acquisition of CleanCo
Right.
and had to file bankruptcy that night.
Wow.
So bad bookends, but a great run in between. It was so
Yeah.
much fun in between.
Yeah. Well,
um, yeah.
oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I
I
didn't
was going
mean
to
to
say
interrupt.
from Lehman, I went to work for a client. It was a company called Eola, a gentleman named Jim Heastan. He had built and sold three companies, and I was his advisor and financer and investor at Lehman. And he needed a CFO and a capital markets person, and I went to work for him. We ended up doing a reverse merger into Parkway and taking over that public REIT. Sold
Oh.
it 5 years later. Told my wife I'd take 6 months off and get to know my kids again. And 2 weeks later, Bill Ackman called and I started at Howard Hughes.
Well,
You can't make it up.
and I hope you still know your kids. Yeah.
I got a lot of time to make up someday, Carter.
Yeah,
Like we
yeah.
all
No,
do, I
I
think.
I hear you. So what, you had you started as an engineer, you got into finance. You were working on the street with Lehman and Banyan and some of these others. What has been some of the learning experience that you had where you were you're pre-Howard Hughes that came with you to Howard Hughes and developed and shaped your approach as it relates to real estate development and everything you're doing right now at Hughes?
Honestly, working as a real estate developer out of college, then financing real estate developers at Lehman and putting a lot of money at risk.
Yeah.
I grew to I had a love-hate relationship with real estate development,
Uh-huh.
right? And I think that I had a great appreciation for the risks that existed in real estate development. And it was scary,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of my clients at Lehman and I watched Bill would, buy land, go through an entitlement process that was risky and challenging,
Hmm.
hope to come out on the other side in a really good spot,
Yeah.
hope the market still worked when they came out of it, that they could build something.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they go to build something, three other people were building the exact same thing right across the street.
Yeah.
And you had to be first and fast and really right. And you were underwriting to solve for returns using really good binoculars of what you thought was going to be
Yeah.
around the corner. And
So
it was,
that's a real good because Summerlin is what, 22,500 acres ish,
mhm.
from what I remember. Teravalis were upwards of what, 40,000?
Yeah,
The
37.
Woodlands, Bridgeland, those are big projects. And
Yes.
so when and I really appreciate because you and I are finance guys, we're looking at, okay, we're going to be deploying this capital. We have this runway with all these columns and numbers by years. There can be a lot of things that go wrong. That, our revenue doesn't come in, our costs go up, our peak capital goes through the roof. I
Yeah.
mean, just a lot of things that we can freak ourselves out with. And that's a lot different than being the guy on the ground, making sure that we're getting those entitlements, that we're putting the streets in. So I think you had some hands-on experience at one point too, didn't you, on working on the tech corridor in Boston?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was working for Bill, I was, I was managing, I was the developer. I was managing the
Yeah,
engineers, the architects, on figuring out how to make it work, figuring out when you were doing a redevelopment of an old industrial building into what we would call,
yeah,
a for a day office and leasing it to a tech company. Um, and everything went wrong, right?
yeah.
And it was creative problem solving every day on the job and figuring out how to make it work. It was a lot of great get your roll your sleeves up, get your hands dirty real estate development experience.
And so how did that hands-on then, once you got into the finance and we're putting deals together and, reverse mergers, how did that hands-on experience translate in on the financial side, or did it?
I don't know that it necessarily had a direct connection. I think the greatest lessons I learned in that hands-on experience was creative problem solving.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And you can apply that to anything that you do, whether it's a finance puzzle or an underwriting puzzle
Yeah.
or or development puzzle, thinking about different ways to get to the goal line and not maybe that same tried and true path that the person took before you
Yeah.
was an incredible hands-on lesson that I apply every day still.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you mentioned Bill Porview. Did I pronounce the
Yeah,
name
Porvu.
correct? Yeah. And he was your mentor. Did he help you with, what did he teach you? Was creative problem solving a chapter in the book, The Real Estate Game? Or was it all just very, we do this, we do that, here's how we run our land
Oh
residual?
man, like
Yeah,
what didn't he teach me?
yeah.
I didn't know a damn thing. I mean, I could almost, tell you how to design a bridge, maybe, but I didn't pay that close attention in school. I wasn't very
Yeah,
good. Everything about real estate, all of the nuances, how to look at it. But I'll tell you what, Bill, he was a pragmatic thinker, and he was always looking at things in an appropriate way. I mean, what do I mean by that? Like, and I saw this throughout my career at Lehman, advising people with funds, et cetera. We had to solve for a return,
yeah,
right? Our cost of capital is this. Our investors want this. We're solving for a 20, right?
yeah,
And Bill didn't take that view. He's like, we're solving for the return that pays us for the risk that we're taking.
yeah,
And throughout my career, I've always seen people solve for the number that gets them over the bar, that makes their investors happy, instead of saying, is that high enough over the bar
yeah,
relative to the risk that I'm taking on in this project?
yeah.
And Bill always had that. I have to be compensated for the risk. We're not solving for a number.
Hmm.
We are doing deals that pay us appropriately for the risk that we're taking on and our investors are taking on.
Yeah. And how would he and a lot of times, we get into this, what is the discount rate? What is the rate of return that we should be looking at based on a risk-free rate of return? I mean, how do you look at determining what that return should be? As I look at it as when risk-free rates, are going up and down. I mean, or does that even play into your calculus?
Yeah, we look at a lot of different metrics, Carter, and it's
Hmm.
it's no, a lot of science and a little bit of art,
Yeah.
right? So, we're doing the standard, does the unlevered return exceed our cost of capital?
Yep.
Does the levered return exceed our cost of equity?
Yeah.
What does it do to the net asset value of our company on a per share basis?
Hmm.
It is the
Yeah.
capital that we're expending in that development increasing the value on a per share basis of this company if I look back on it in 5 years.
Yeah.
And we're public, but never once in 10 years that I've been at this company has a single director asked me what next quarter's earnings are going to be.
Yeah. And
They
and
only ask me what the net asset value of this company is going to be in 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 years.
oh, that's great.
And
Yeah.
that's the mindset. It's a long-term asset. You
Yeah.
need a long-term investment approach.
Yeah.
Um, but so much of what we do, I'm sitting here in Summerlin, I'm looking out the window, and we have the Las Vegas ballpark behind us. We built that. It was about $130 million. And we make, if we got really creative, I got a return in excess of my cost of capital. I got a
Yeah.
return on my equity
Yeah.
in excess of my cost of equity. And, on its own, maybe it increased the NAV on a per share basis of the company. But what it did to the community,
Yeah.
the impact it had on everything all around it. We saw our office rents go up and exceed the office rents on the
Yeah.
strip. We now have the highest office rents in the state of
Yeah.
Nevada. Our multifamily rents are the highest in Las Vegas. The price per acre that we send land to home builders from before we built the stadium was about 450,000. After we built the stadium, it was about 700,000 an acre. Today it's 1.8 million an acre.
Yeah.
Um, bringing in those great family friendly amenities, those things that allow families to create memories and
Yeah.
see their first professional baseball game. You can't measure that on an Excel sheet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do it right, it's like dropping a pebble in a pond, and it creates concentric circles of value creation throughout your entire community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It-
it's really it's the art, it's the arts that goes with the science of an underwriting, and
yeah.
it's critically important in master plan communities.
We may have to have a second podcast just to start talking about some of that. But to our listeners who haven't been to, the downtown Summerlin, it is absolutely gorgeous. Really encourage you to get there. But that ballpark has been totally accretive to everything around it in the community as a whole. It's just been magical to see that
Appreciate it.
transformation.
Thank you, Carter.
Uh, since we're on that, and you've got, Howard Hughes has tremendous experience developing large master plan communities, and we're working with the team in Buckeye on Teravalis. But how do you look at 40,000 acres and go, what is going to be the ballpark for Teravalis? What is going to be what is, how are you planning the amenities to truly make a an impact on where people live, work, recreate, build their families? What is the
Yeah,
thought process? And I know that's really hard and it's
it
kind of
is.
a nebulous question, but since we're on it, I wanted to ask it to
It's
get your
impossible, right?
yeah.
The only thing I know about our master plan for Teravalis is that it's wrong.
It's
Right?
what?
It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's really wrong. The roads aren't going to be there. The homes aren't going to be there. The parks aren't going to be there,
Yeah.
right? Every 6 months, we have to go back and redo it and adjust it to meet the
Yeah.
changing needs of our consumers, to
Yeah.
develop to meet the demands of the people that are going to live, work, play, learn, discover,
Yeah.
pray there. So whatever I think that catalyst today is, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Um, at the end of the day, it is always being nimble and agile and developing with great alacrity to meet that changing consumer
Yeah.
demand. And you don't know if it's going to be a performing arts area like the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion in
Yeah.
the Woodlands, which is one of the most highly
Hmm.
attended concert venues in the country. The Las Vegas ballpark, where we average 9,000 fans a game. It's our
Yeah.
most highly attended ballpark in AAA. We get more fans than the Miami Marlins and the Oakland A's. I know it's a low bar, but it's still, um, you're never sure what that
Yeah.
catalyst is going to be. But if you have the similar DNA that we have throughout our communities,
Yeah.
you'll find it.
Yeah.
And that DNA is access to major infrastructures,
Hmm.
right? Like highways,
Yep.
airports, et cetera. It is easy commutes to a major metropolitan area, to get to Phoenix, get to Houston, get to Las Vegas.
Yep.
It is great schools and educational opportunities for our residents, and it's a commitment to open green space where we
Yeah.
have 30% of every one of our communities committed to parks, trails, and nature that give our residents the ability to enjoy their time there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here in Summerlin and similar in the Woodlands, every elementary school child can walk to their school without ever crossing an intersection
Yeah. Well,
using
yeah.
the trail system.
Yeah.
And parents sleep well. They feel that we're
Yeah.
safe. And
Yeah.
we have a quality of life that you can't offer in a traditional master plan community. Like most people think of a master plan community as 2,000 acres.
Yeah.
That's a really cute neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
For
Yeah.
us, a master plan community is a series of what others call master plan communities and an employment center.
Yeah.
And we always target a minimum of 1.5 jobs per rooftop.
Right.
We don't want to be a bedroom community for a major metropolitan. We
Yep.
want others commuting in. In the Woodlands, for example, we have 60,000 people commuting into the Woodlands to work every day.
Yep. I've been on the freeway. I see them coming in. And the other thing is, so I believe every battle's won before it's fought, in my little niche, which is infrastructure. And how do we create certainty on the part of the developer so they can do what they need to do when they need to do it, whether that's moving density around, whether that's financing infrastructure, and then also creating the flexibility to maybe move things around and or change their financing. So when we're looking, what are your thoughts as it relates to crafting a development agreement, and what instructions do you give your team members as it relates to, this is 40,000 acres. This is going to be going on for 60 years, maybe ish. How do we right around what's going to change over the next 60 years so we don't have to open up a development agreement again? Is
Uh,
that something you can, add,
yeah, no, I
talk
mean,
about?
look, I think that the first thing we need to do is we work very closely with our elected officials
Yeah.
to educate them on what we do at Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a little bit different formula. And if
Yeah.
that means I got to charter a plane and fly 8 folks to the Woodlands for a couple
Hmm.
days, to
Yeah.
Summerlin for a couple days,
Yeah.
and say that this is how we define a master plan community and this is what we do. And to do this, we need this flexibility in our development agreement.
Yeah.
And I'll give you all the protections in the world to make sure that
Hmm.
it's a 40-year agreement, and you and I are sitting across the table and we see eye to eye, but you and I aren't going to be here in 40 years.
Yeah.
I woke up today and have an email from our chairman, so I still had a job, right? But tomorrow it may change. So we have to protect the community in a
Yeah.
way that is very much aligned with how we envision
Yeah.
long-term development.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to give elected officials in cities those protections, 30% open green space,
Yeah.
things that are part of what the fabric of what we do anyway,
Anyway. Yeah.
because we're not a real estate developer. A real estate developer buys dirt, builds a building, sells it, moves on to the next community, doesn't care one iota about the dirt around what they just developed.
Yeah.
We're a community builder. We own the dirt. We're going to live there. Our kids are going to go to school there, and we're not leaving.
Yeah.
So we care more or just as much about the dirt around what we
Yeah.
develop than what we develop.
Yeah. And that's a huge distinction. And given what you guys have accomplished, Woodlands, Bridgeland, Summerlin, for you to be able to take the electeds to see one of your communities, to go to the ballpark, to go to the performing arts, to see the recreational, to see the commercial, which every city wants, for their tax base.
Absolutely.
That's a different, you're not just showing them a rendering, you're walking them through it. And that's a huge distinction. And you guys have just done such a tremendous job. It does become an easier sell, because really what we're doing is we're doing a public-private partnership with the jurisdictions, and we need to be able to trust one another.
No, entirely. And
Yeah.
it's, with the folks in Buckeye who have been nothing short of tremendous
Yep.
every step of the way. I had a great meeting with their mayor. We went out to the Woodlands. We went out to Summerlin, and he brought his economic development team.
Yep.
I'm like, I am your new economic development office,
Yeah,
right? Just
exactly.
sit back. You don't have to do it. I spend my entire life on airplanes, flying around the country, meeting with CEOs of other companies, trying to show them why
Yeah.
their business would be better in one of our communities.
Yeah.
And not just because I can build them an office building, but I can find them and every employee in their company, all the way down to their assistants, a great place to live with great schools.
Yeah.
Houses of worship. It's not just building the office building.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a small part of
Part
what
of it.
it takes to have a successful relocation of a business, right? It's the lifestyle of all of your employees that are critical.
So with that, I'm going to stop with this episode of the Land to Lots podcast. Thank you, and look forward to talking with you shortly.
You have been listening to the Land to Lots podcast with Carter Froelich. Follow us wherever you find your podcast to never miss a new episode.